Oh man, from the beautiful heavens, let's bring you crashing back down to earth. It's time to talk about money and debt in particular. It is an essential part of life. It's part of being a grown-up. It helps us buy things like cars, like houses, make those investments, but it quite literally comes at a very heavy cost.
That is so true. Now, are you willing to pay that price for the rest of your life? Time to find out in another round of Would You Rather? Dum, 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 dum. Now, our Would You Rather scenario is like this.
Okay.
Would you, A, have the ability to erase all your existing debt, but never be able to take on a new debt?
Okay.
Or B, have unlimited access to credit, but always carry a moderate level of debt? So, Graham, would you rather A or B?
In an ideal world, I suppose, and this is quite an idealistic question to ask, but it does speak to a really interesting pressure point, and I've been thinking a lot about that. I suppose as I transcend the COVID debt phase, where so many of us were forced to take on quite heavy amounts of debt necessarily, and I'm grateful that I was able to do that. It's got me thinking a lot about how I would love to just live outside of that space completely. So I don't know, in an ideal world, maybe I'd go for A and just break the rules, change the way that we live, because I think most people live most of their lives in debt.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would also, in an ideal world, gear towards A. I like to think I'm a pretty patient person. I can wait and save up to buy something rather than having to actually, if you calculate the interest you pay on certain things,
you pay three times as much. Yeah.
You sometimes wonder, I'm like, oh, I probably should have just saved a little longer for it, and then being able to buy that and something else compared to what you end up paying at the end of the day.
You could have bought the Ferrari with the amount of interest that you've paid. Well, let's find out what you guys had to say, because I have a feeling this would have really struck a couple of nerves there. Zelda Hennessy saying, A, debt is the enemy. And I think that's an ironic laughy face there.
Definitely. Jeremy says definitely B, because you can't buy a house cash or new cars, so have to adopt sensible debt, which you can maintain safely. So that's also the key word, is sensible, and I suppose responsible debt.
It speaks to control for sure. Angie Pochenpool saying, it's A for me to teach kids about wants and needs. Oh, you opened a whole nother kettle of fish there. Absolutely love that. I think a lot of people being forced to ask these questions now in life. It's not just an idealistic question, but it's what do you want?
But also, I think that's why it's so important to have a will in place, because it's not necessarily about who's going to inherit your assets. It's also who you're protecting from your debt.
Oh, I love that.
There we
Absolutely
go.
love it. Well, debt is sadly a part of life, but it is critical that you remain in a financially sound position to make those monthly payments. You've got to maintain your end of the equation, and where you can, always try to pay off more than the minimum installment so that you can reduce that amount owed in the long run and bring your interest down.
Definitely. Now, every cent you have saved now, you can go towards saving for your future.
That Ferrari.
90% of South Africans can't afford to retire. Start saving in a NEDBANK 32-day notice account. Choose a rate of up to 8.8% and stand a chance to win 50,000 Rand with greenbacks every month. Join the bank that's best for your savings goals.